Welcome to Beyond Sunday, the King of Kings podcast, where we usually dive a little bit deeper into our sermon series. But this month, in the month of July, we're doing something a little different. We're diving a little bit deeper into some of our King of Kings ministries and finding out more about each of them. My name is Dina Newsom, and I am excited to welcome you to today. I have some spectacular guests. They're going to help us talk about our local and global community engagement. So go ahead, say hello.
Hello, Kate Solberg.
Hey, Greg Griffith. Kate, were you in Greece?
I was.
How was that?
It was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'd never been to Europe.
I've never been to Greece. Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. What did you go? Did you go into the ocean?
I sure did.
Yeah.
Yep. We were in Athens for 2 days and then islands for 8 days. So
Oh, wow.
Mykonos and Santorini.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you just want to go back? You're going to abandon us and move to Greece?
You know, I love traveling. The thing I loved most about it was my kids were trapped with me for 12 days.
Yeah.
And so they're just old. They're 19 and 21. So they don't want to hang with their mom all the time, which I don't know why. But anyway, that was the best part. We ate meals together. We had explored. We swam in the ocean. We did. It was awesome.
What was your favorite part besides
being trapped with my kids?
Captive?
Just, you just get so enthralled with your little bubble of the world, and maybe we're going to talk about this, global missions. You forget there's this whole world happening around you and people live differently. And we just did things like, instead of Uber, I made my kids figure out the local bus system because it was a fraction of the price. So I'm like, we are figuring out the buses, and instead of spending $70 on a round trip Uber ticket, we spent $6, and traveled the island. And I don't know, I like doing that kind of stuff when I travel.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
So fun.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Where's your favorite place that you've gone globally, Greg?
My wife doesn't listen to the podcast, but if she did, she would laugh right now because she knows what I'm going to say. Budapest. And I say it the way they say it over there because the S is actually a sh. And so, but it's a cool city. It's actually divided by a river. So Buda's on one side. I think Buda's a hilly side, and then Pest is the flat side. And so it's like Minnesota, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. And so, but it's just beautiful. The people are great. St. Stephen's Cathedral is absolutely beautiful. Once a year, they process his actual hand. They still have his hand. They process it he brought Christianity to Eastern Europe. And then Hungarian goulash, there's nothing like it here. Though some people make some good goulash, but Hungarian goulash is amazing. So, yeah. So
where has a really good goulash, Greg?
Where?
Cheddar's.
I hate Cheddar's.
I'm just joking. I learned earlier in a meeting today that Greg is not a fan of Cheddar's.
No.
I don't even know if
I
they
think I
make
need to be
goulash,
like
but it
85
sounded
and
good.
have to take my teeth out.
I feel like they just warm food up. I mean, there's some people that probably love it, but
I love it. I love Cheddar's.
No.
Sorry. I'm representing.
I offended two people in the other meeting where I was complaining about Cheddar's too. So, Kate, you and I can
find something better.
So the reason is it's my daughter's birthday week, and we let them pick wherever they want to go to dinner. And she said, I want to go to Cheddar's. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, and then as the kind of foodie experience guy I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many greater places we could do. But whatever. I always reminded it's not my birthday dinner, but it should be. I think they'd have a better dinner.
Where will you go for your birthday dinner?
I will either choose Canara, Biaggi's. I also Legacy Steakhouse has really started to become one of my favorites too.
There yet,
the best salad in the city for sure. A great salad. I mean, good steak and everything else too. But
I've had a good salad there.
Steak
salad.
Their salad is, and then their salad bar is amazing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now I'm going to have to go check it out.
Yeah, you will.
You heard it here, Legacy Steakhouse.
It's good.
Way better than Cheddar's.
That's very true.
Sorry,
Dina.
Dina.
Those croissants.
No.
I'm telling you, though, the vegetable plate is the way to go.
I'm probably going to go with that today. I'm going to do the
deal.
vegetable plate. So. I know. And then I'll
we
get
should
a pizza on the way home.
These. Yeah. swing by
It's
Kenara.
one of those dinners where you go and you eat, but then you get something else later.
T-Bell on the way home.
right, without the lettuce.
That's what my son does, but that's just because he's 19 and has the metabolism
I
of
wish
a
I had a 19-year-old
Gerbil.
metabolism.
Yes.
I know.
So unfair.
It is unfair. Yeah.
All right. So today we are talking about local and global partnerships in the ministries that we're involved with, both locally and globally. You guys have a preference on which we tackle first? What do you think?
Well, Kate's looking super excited. Like she's actually over here like asking, point me. So for
So
sure,
let's start with
I think we got to go local.
Thank you.
All things
Thank
local. Yeah.
So yes, here at King of Kings, we develop our local partnerships one way, primarily through the public schools that we're partners with. And Kate, as a former public school teacher, this really speaks to your heart. Tell us more about what we do here.
What grade did you teach?
I taught 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd.
5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. I remember all my 5th. I remember my 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd grade teachers.
And everyone's like, what was your favorite every time? And I'm like, whatever grade I was teaching at that time was my favorite because there's something spectacular about every age. I love just the quirkiness of each of the grade levels, so I miss it. And so this was a great fit. When I went from public school teacher to ministry, and I love still being a part of Standing Pair at Northwest, and Concordia. So yeah.
So as the associate director that you have been at our Northwest campus, their partnership is with Standing Bear Elementary. And then they also have a partnership with Concordia, who is their home, because they live there. So explain kind of how that partnership works. What are some of the things that we do?
Well, it all began with Disney, of course, here at Millard. Millard's paired with Disney for quite a few years now.
I think it's been 8, if I remember. I could be incorrect.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was prior to COVID. I don't know, right around there. But anyway, Laura really paved the way beautifully and started this friendship partnership with the principal at Disney. And it was such a beneficial relationship that when we started to look at a partnership with a public school in Northwest, the principal of Disney said, let me go before you ask. And that kind of paved the way for us because principal to principal, they speak the same language. They know how grueling a day in public school can be and the demands on staff and administration. And so Cindy was able to speak to Bridget at Standing Bear, and we really don't know what exactly she said, but it must have been good things because Bridget O'Melia was like, yes, we would love to have a partnership with you guys. And we do a number of things to support the staff there. We have a month-by-month touch point that is often a snack cart that we wheel around from classroom to classroom and offer staff a snack and usually a cold soda pop or water or some type of beverage. And that seems really simple, but it is teachers rave about it. And what Peter and I found was usually when we go there, they start texting each other like, they're here. Today's the day. In case you're like, recess duty, you better wrap it up. But we try not to miss anyone. But other things we do is we might bring in a staff breakfast on an in-service day. When they have events like the carnival, they'll share their volunteer sign-up list. And so we'll try to spread the word and see who's available to help out. They do a fun run each year to raise funds for Standing Bear. And we've gone to that for 3 years now, just helping them run that event. And then also we give a birthday gift to each staff member each year. And it is branded with their school's name and logo. And it's usually something that is useful. Like last year, it was like insulated container to bring your lunch in. Was that last year?
Yep,
yes.
It was.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And so they're wrapped up and they have their names on them and it has their birth date. And we just deliver them to them a few months in a batch. And it's just a way for us to show like we're cheering you on. As a public school teacher, it can be very isolating because you don't work with other adults much other than like you see adults at lunch in the morning, but otherwise you are, I hate to say the word trapped, but you're kind of trapped in a classroom with, 25, 10-year-olds or whatever you have that year. And so it can be a thankless job. And so when people from the community encourage you, it goes so far and it's so meaningful. And just the fact that we keep showing up to encourage them, that's the thing that surprises them every time. Each time we come, oh my gosh, you guys are back again. You guys are here again. Oh, you're with us this year again. So we hear that over and over. And it's so funny because the students a lot of times will be like, did you bring a snack for us? And we're like, oh, it's just for the staff. And then I always usually whisper like, it helps your teacher be in a good mood. and usually the kids are like, oh yeah, so that's fun.
I know.
Yeah, it's really great. You saying like showing up. I think it's been 7 years we've been at Disney because I was here when we started it. And so one of the things I remember Cindy saying is the first time we went, and I think we did like a registration for them. It was school registration night, and we basically manned the tables so the teachers could be more free and all that stuff. And so, but I remember Cindy eventually saying, like, we thought, oh, this is nice. They showed up once. They'll never be back. And then she's like, the next month you were back. And then we're like, huh, that's cool. And then she said, the next month you came back. And she's like, and then you just never stop showing up. And so that's a huge piece of the consistent that we're there. And we're there truly with zero expectation except to simply love.
Right. And we're able to usually, cut them a nice sized check from our all-in funds each year too.
Yeah.
And that comes with no strings attached. That's for the principal to decide, how can I best use this to benefit my staff and my students at my building? Mm-hmm. And I can promise you, no principal expects that from a church. And so to do that, more than 1 year is amazing. Mm-hmm. And it is so appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always find it interesting how grateful the staff are when we come around with the snack cart, because I feel like I'm giving them a cheese stick and a Dr. Pepper, and it's like I just gave them $1 million check. I mean, they just are so grateful because they're feeling valued and seen, and we forget how important that is in the school system. They're building our community, and so we're just trying to help shape that and help love on that. Yeah, that's one of the favorite parts of my role is going into the schools.
And just like when you keep seeing the same person over and over, no matter where that happens, a lot of times that person will start to share a little bit more of their life. And that has happened. The last time Peter and I took the snack cart to Standing Bear, this teacher came out in the hallway and she looked at both of us and said, my daughter went into the hospital to have her first baby this morning, and you could just tell the excitement was bubbling out of her. And she was so excited to tell someone who she knew would care about that piece of information. And, Peter and I were like, oh my goodness, is it in Omaha? Like, do you know if it's a boy or a girl? And we said, we're going to be praying for your daughter, the health of the baby, may everything go beautifully today. And what a gift. That was an honor. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Another way that we reach our local community is through our attractional events that we do at each campus. And that is a way that we're looking to bless our community and hopefully invite them to our campus to come maybe just for something fun and that's going to benefit them. So Greg, do you want to talk a little bit about your heart behind our attractional events and how we bless people through that?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent as a pastor of attractional ministry. I think attractional ministry can't be your only thing. I think you have to look at attractional that then leads into true discipleship ministry that is there. But I think attractional opens a door in a super simple way. I started this in Michigan. We started with attractional ministry. We did ended up growing up to like 4 or 5, but we had back to school events, and we had a trunk and treat, and we had a Easter egg hunt, and we had a living nativity at Christmas time, and all led to invites and stuff like that. And just saw the power of community. And then more to what the power does, which is for many, especially when you're trying to reach families, it becomes a way where they get onto your campus in a way that's comfortable in meeting them where they're at. And then their first time at your campus on a Sunday is never their first time. And so they already know where things are. Sometimes they even know some people. Also for your people, it's an easy invite. An invite to church is hard. That's a pretty high bar. But if I have a neighbor with kids and I know they're going back to school, or I know that their kids love candy, it's a super easy invite to say, hey, my church is having a trunk or treat or a back to school event. Would you guys like to come? And here's the information. And so again, it does two things. One, it empowers the people that are saying, we want to invite people to our church, but we just don't know when that door will open. It now opens a door to be able to invite them and gives them confidence to be able to do the invite. And then the second piece is it opens a door for someone to say, I'm going to come to your church, but I'm not coming to church. And then realizing it's not as scary sometimes as they built up in their head, or they recognize how fun and welcoming all the people are that are there. So I think attractional ministry works. It's a great funnel, but I also think what really happens is as a church body that believes in the power of the Holy Spirit, it's where the Holy Spirit just begins to put on their heart that this is a place where they belong, and we believe in the biblical model: belong, believe, become. And so they know right away, I belong here. Like, I'm part of this community. And I think attractional ministry, again, says to the whole community, this church is here for you. And lastly, I believe that it's those types of things, our local school partnerships, it's this type of stuff that if we closed, our community around us, not our people that go to this church, but our community around us, would notice and care. They would grieve that moment. And that's what the church at its best is to be.
That's the question that you asked in one of my first meetings here when I came on staff, is if this church went away, would our community notice? And I just think it's really powerful to think about that. And what are we doing to make sure that they would? Yeah. Kate, do you want to tell a little bit about Izzy and how Izzy started at one of our events and kind of what her story is?
Yes. So Izzy came to Vacation Bible School last year for the first time at Northwest, and she loved it. Like most kids really like VBS. It's fun. They talk about it. It makes a big impact in their life. But Izzy was kind of next level. And she loved it so much, she wanted to keep coming back to church after Vacation Bible School ended. And so she convinced her parents. I want to say she's 10 now. So maybe at age 9 last year, she convinced her parents to come to church. They're like, okay, we'll try it out. So they came. And at first, it took a while to figure out, okay, a Sunday morning does not look exactly like a day at Vacation Bible School, because King of Kings goes over the top for VBS. And so we talked through that. Izzy was like, it's different, and it took a few Sundays for her to get into the Sunday routine to where she's like, okay, this is good. It's different, but I still like it. And so her and her family came consistently for an entire year, and she was super excited when it came to register for VBS again this year. And you bet she was going to be there. And she brought her mom to actually lead a crew, which was great. And she decided she wanted to get baptized when she heard that was an opportunity. And again, this came from Izzy, like not her parents. And so the Sunday after Vacation Bible School, she was baptized at Northwest, and it just a blessing. The joy that radiates out of this child is infectious. And, I would just say if we had a Vacation Bible School mascot, it would probably be Izzy. But just one story of how God uses that to work in children's lives and to grow faith that hopefully will last forever.
Yeah. I really like that story.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have our local school partnerships and we have our attractional events. That's kind of the ways that we engage in our community. But then globally, we also have some partners that we work with. And we have 4 identified global partners that we work with in different ways with each of them that are doing different things in different parts of the world. And do you kind of want to highlight what those are, Greg?
Yeah. I love our global partnership. Again, we're called to go to the ends of the earth, and we actually get to do that in relational. So one of the things when I first came to King of Kings, I called 100 people, and they were the top 100 people that kind of were the most active here. I asked them, why do you love King of Kings? Why do you drive past other churches? At that time, we only had the I Street campus, as it was called, and over and over again, I heard relationships, and that's truly at the heart of King of Kings. We're a highly relational church. And so each of our global partnerships also is about building relationships and in different ways. And so our first global partnership is India Transformed, which we've been partners with for probably 35, maybe closer to 40 years. Pastor Roger was instrumental in starting India Transformed. And they're all about children's sponsorships, but also women's empowerment. And so in India, when women are divorced or widowed, they just become they don't have the ability to provide for themselves. And in India tradition, you don't take care of the poor. That's just kind of their lot in life. And so they're out of luck, and especially for their children. So women's empowerment teaches them to sew. We just sponsored another sewing class where 9 women each learned how to sew, start their own business, and then each got a sewing machine. And so now they have the resources and tools. And that actually just started. They got their sewing machine starting this year. And that came from a couple of our members that sponsored their own class and said, this doesn't make sense. Like, you're teaching them how to do something, but then they don't have the tools to do it. And India Transform said, that's a good idea. And so so they kind of upped how much it costs to do a class. And so we sponsored that class, and now they all have sewing machines. And then the third piece is church planting. And so if I'm recalling correctly, I think King of Kings has been part of over 3,000 churches being planted in India. And that means that there's 6,000 pastors that have been raised up and trained out of there, because if you go and say, I want to become a pastor, you have to then promise to reach and disciple 2 others as well. And so it's just amazing what's happening. Our second one is in Cambodia. And that's through Garuna Ministries. I love this. I've gone on record saying I actually think this is one of the mission partners that will be the most impactful and change a country in the greatest way of any mission organizations I've ever seen in my life. So Cambodia is 98% non-Christian. Most of it is atheists, or what I would say apathetic Buddhists. For anyone probably over 40, you've heard the name Pol Pot at some point. He was a terrible dictator, was an atheist, and he practiced genocide on his own people. So the Killing Fields movie was about him, he killed, they think, at least 2 million of his own people. And so basically, if he knew you were Buddhist or Christian or religion in any type, he would slaughter you. So they're 98% non-Christian. What Garuna Missions does is they plant a school, kindergarten through 5th grade, and then the schools there are kids go to school for a half day at government schools. Sometimes the teacher just doesn't show up, so that's normal. So then the kids are just half day there, not getting any education, no supervision. And then they go home. Well, at Garuna, in one of the schools, the kids come to the school and it's free for them. And there they learn the normal things they'd learn in school. So it's just adding on to what they'd learn. But then they also learn about Jesus. And that's all done by indigenous teachers who are converts to the faith. And so I truly believe that, and we sponsor in Prevang, we sponsor the largest school. We have 318 kids at our school. We had to build on a wing within 3 months because there were so many. I believe that in 30 years, Cambodia will be 10, 20, maybe 30% Christian because of Garuna Missions and what they're doing, because those kids are going home and they're telling their family about Jesus, and they're hearing and they're learning about Jesus. And so super impactful. And then our third one is Hope Chest. Yeah, Hope Chest. We sponsor in Guatemala. We're looking at Uganda, how we can get into Uganda as well, Africa. But Guatemala, this is all children's sponsorship and it's all relational. So this one too, we take mission trips to. But we don't go build things. We don't build houses. We don't put on VBS. We just go and we meet our kids. We meet the kids that are being sponsored by us. We see what they're doing. We build the relationship that's there. And what I love about the Hope Chest model is we're helping develop a community that was just trying to survive into a community that will thrive and then succeed. And for them, success means in 15 years, Hope Chest and us, we exit out of that community, and it's everything is theirs, and they're flourishing on their own, walking with Jesus, walking in their community, a stronghold, empowerment with children and families that are there, and so that's really good. Then our fourth one's relational. Making a difference. It's Team World Vision. And so we run, and the runners are actually building relationships with each other. They run the half marathon or full marathon of Omaha. And then the runners actually try to raise funds. So every $50 through World Vision provides clean water to a person in Africa for life. And so $50 for life. And I'll be honest, I spend $50 on a meal sometimes when I'm at Legacy or something. We won't tonight. We'll probably spend $20 at Cheddar's for all 8 of us. But I'm kidding. But and so last year we raised $65,000. So that's, I think, 2,800 and something clean water wells were provided. And this year, what I love, the relationship that's being built, we have invited and joined with Beautiful Savior and Water's Edge. They're also running with us. So together, all 3 of us are raising funds, and we're doing this together as one church in Omaha. Want to give a shout out. Dave Rettel has a huge heart and passion for this. The guy's a running machine. Brian Ray has taken us on. And if you're sitting there and you're saying, I can't run a half marathon or walk a half marathon, first I'll say to you, I did it. My wife won't let me do it again because for 3 days I kind of suffered on the couch, but that's because I have foot issues. That's my own issue. But I also would say this, Neil Fortcamp, I want to shout out, another champion. Last year, he ran his very first ever half marathon at 79 years old. And the guy destroyed me, which I was fine with, but he just ran and he went. And so I don't care how old you are, how young you are, how fit you are, or how much you love your couch, you can do it. And if you're saying, yeah, I can, but I don't want to, you can give and donate $50 or much more to making a difference. So that's our global ministry partners, making an impact across the world for sure. Deeply dives into our connection to the world. And I love what we're doing.
Yeah. I really I think there's a lot of, maybe global missions sometimes I think gets a bad rap, that there's not a lot of sustainability in some of the programs that are offered, because a church or an organization or a business swoops in, lays down a bunch of money or takes a couple trips and then goes away. And whatever they have done doesn't have sustainability. Just like you talked about teaching women to sew, but if they don't have the sewing machines to do it yourselves. The Garuna program, though, there is a lasting vision there. And I really like that, because we helped sponsor, right? Lisa was part of what we contributed to, which is an institution that is teaching other teachers to help, and pastors, I think, that is then going to prolong the number of people. And where this school meets here in the US, a lot of times a church decides to open a school, and that's not the way it happens around the world. This school opened, and now there is a church meeting in the school building on a regular basis. And so that, again, is another way that it's not just kids coming there to hear about Jesus. Now it's families that are worshiping there, and hopefully then telling their friends who are telling their friends, and growing that faith there.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I love about where Garuna's making a huge difference, not only is our kids going home, right? A child will lead them, but the teachers, the principals, everyone who's in leadership there are also converts. And so they're all first generation converts. There's a ton of pros on that. There are some cons. It just means sometimes there's like some messiness that they got to go, that's not what we do as Christians. But for the most part, like it's a lot of pros. And so they're all in that first generation convert, much like the Acts days, where they're talking about, I once was, but now I am. And so that's hugely powerful.
It's a very powerful testimony. Okay, so when we're looking at our local partners and our global partners, what are some things that you guys know are on the horizon? What's happening soon that maybe people should be aware of in either of those?
Well, we were just talking about City Serve today.
Yep.
And we do that each year where we look to serve in different ways throughout our community and be the hands and feet of Jesus. And we have a church that makes it real easy to do that because we set up different volunteer opportunities depending on your availability. Sometimes it can be a few hours, 1 hour, but so many different ways to serve. And I love that we have a church. You know, some people, when they hear global missions, are like, oh, there's so many things we could do right here at home. And I love that we do both. Mm-hmm. You know, we're serving here and we're serving where God leads us, and God has led us outside of our city, outside of our state, outside of our country. And so we want to be obedient to that call. But one way I got involved at Standing Bear was to start serving as a mentor in the Teammates program. And so that was started by Tom Osborne, and it's widely known in Omaha. But when you sign up, you can ask for a student at a certain school, and you can start as early as 3rd grade. And if that child wants to continue the program, you can be their mentor till they graduate high school. And so I started as a mentor last year, and my buddy was in 3rd grade, and I'll start again in the fall with her. And what it entails is basically about a 45-minute commitment each week. I meet her at Standing Bear over her lunch. So she will get her lunch, and then we usually eat in the library. Sometimes I bring a lunch, sometimes I don't. We do a board game. Sometimes I bring a craft. But basically, we just spend 45 minutes together a week, and I just am there for her, someone who's consistent. And so I know in OPS in particular, and I think many other districts, they're always looking for teammates. And there's kids, if young kids aren't your passion, your favorite, there's middle school and high school kids. And these kids are nominated by their teachers for various reasons. They might have had a death in the family. They might have had difficulties. Who knows why? I don't really know why. That's kept confidential. But I know that this young lady who I meet with, their teacher says she would benefit from a consistent adult in her life each week. And so I get to be that person. So that's one way. If God moves in your heart, that's what I love doing. Another thing at Standing Bear. So
sweet. Yeah, we're right now taking signups for our mission trip to Guatemala. I think we have 11 people right now signed up. We can take 15 up to maybe 20, but we'd love for anyone to come to Guatemala, experience it. I've just fallen in love with the Guatemalan people. It's really great. And so just spend a week with us. It will be in November. You go to kingofkings.org/Guatemala, find out all the information there. The other thing you could do is if you want to sponsor a child, we have 14 children ready to be sponsored. And so it's $45 a month. And you'll build a relationship. Those kids, my one favorite story I tell about Hope Chest is one person sponsored a child and sponsored her all the way up till she was 18. And when she was 18, they'd built a relationship, monthly letters. He knew what's going on in her life, would go down on partner visits and see her. And when she graduated 18, they said, okay, your sponsorship's done. And so he connected with her. He ended up paying for her to go to college, and pays for her right now. She's in law school, and he's paying for her to go through law school. And every time he goes and sees her, she calls him her father. He's her American dad. And they just have this relationship where they talk about Jesus, and she's going to a Muslim law school as a Christian, sharing the gospel, and tells him the stories of what she's doing and how she can do it, and, do it in winsome ways that allows her to stay in the school and stuff like that. So you really are, you are investing in a relational life of a child and making a difference. So.
And actually here at Millard in 2 weeks on July 26th, we have a lunch and learn that you can come, you can sign up for. Registration is open now, I think, and you can come hear Greg talk more about Guatemala and global missions. So locally, event-wise, we have back to school events coming up at two at our campuses. Yeah. We are collecting school supplies at both campuses throughout the month of July. That's for Fremont and Millard. There's an Amazon wish list if you like to shop at home and just have it sent straight to the church. You can find that in the app. And the list of school supplies is available. Or if you want to serve at that event and come welcome these families, it's an amazing time. There's a lot of fun at that event. And the first volunteer position that gets snatched up is people working in the store, where kids get to walk through and pick out their school supplies. That's the place everybody wants to be, because they get to see those smiles when the kids are looking through the pencils or the folders to pick out just that right color or whatever they want. That's always a fun thing. So you can check those out online. All right. What can people pray for these ministries? What can we leave our listeners with that they can be praying for? Something you can think of in this area.
Yeah, I just got an update from John when we were in Uganda a little over a year and a half ago. John is the one that his daughter was brutally murdered in a witchcraft sacrifice, a 6-year-old daughter. We received money and sent it over to John to pay for the funeral and to pay for just some other things that would come up. And so I just got word John's other daughter, the twin, who's living, is in a different private school, thriving and doing well. John and his wife are doing as well as can be expected. And John is getting back into now continuing to share. John was pretty high up in the Lord's Resistance Army, a rebel army in Uganda, was not a good army. So he shares kind of the story of the necessity of finding grace and forgiveness from atrocities of life that were before. And so he's getting back into sharing that testimony. But I just keep praying for John.
I think asking God to reveal where he would have you serve. That's the prayer that I revisit over and over again. I don't think God gives you instructions and then you're done. It's ongoing walk with the Lord, sanctification. And so even if you're not feeling nudged, ask the Lord, where do you want me to serve? We're called to worship, read the scriptures, and then obey. And we're commanded to go and be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so whether that's in a local way or an international way, like Greg talked about, we're called to be a part of God's plan. And if you're not sure where that part is, all you need to do is ask. And sometimes it's amazing. God will answer that so quickly. And other times it takes a while of waiting. And so I would just encourage people to pray to the Lord and ask, where would you like me, Lord? The scripture says the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. And it might be in a simple way as having lunch with a third grader, or, getting your passport updated to travel internationally. I don't know, but God does know. And he takes, willing people who have a willing and loving heart. He is able to lead us. So that's what I would encourage people to do.
I would ask that you pray for the people who don't know Jesus yet, that are going to come onto one of our campuses or be affected by one of our international missions, that when that seed is planted, that it takes root, that it doesn't fall on rocky ground, that it is well nurtured and nourished, and that it grows into something beautiful. And our whole goal is to grow the kingdom. And so through each one of these different avenues that we take, it's still about growing the kingdom. And so just praying for those people who don't yet know Jesus, that they're open to it when they meet him. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. And next week, we're going to tackle our young adult ministry and find out more. There's a lot happening in that area, so we'll find out more about that. We're also continuing our Bible short sermon series on Sundays, so check that out. It's a great series. And until then, let's keep living our faith beyond Sunday.